Hello, product people. Welcome to the Product for Product podcast, hosted by Matt Green, data advocate and product manager, and Moshe Mikanovsky, product leader and author. Our goal is to serve the product community by helping you find products that can help make your work in product management easier. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Product for Product podcast.
Welcome back. We are happy to be back with you all. Today, we're kicking off our series on user testing. User testing is a great way to conduct research to observe how your users experience your product. We'll be looking into some interesting tools along the way that helps teams collect feedback, evaluate data, and share their findings. So we're excited to learn more. So let's hop in.
So let's talk a bit about user testing. User testing, I think what I've seen before, most people that are using it are UX designers rather than product managers.
Yep.
But we talked about it in the past that not everyone has a product, a UX designer available for them. And also there is some synergy and some overlaps between these positions sometimes.
Yep.
So we feel it is a good theme to talk about and see what other people are using, what are the services out there, etc.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity if, like you're saying, if you don't have a design team or dedicated people that do that, I think these user testing applications even cater to product people along with design and UX, UI. So I think they kind of branch out and focus on the product team in general. So whether you have somebody or you don't, I still think you can get valuable insights from it.
Yeah, exactly. And usually, from what I've seen, I actually didn't use it myself, so it might be interesting for me to tap into it and and see how it works and all that. But I've seen others using it, and the idea is quite simple. You have some designs, and for an app or for a feature of an app or for a page or whatever it is. And you want to get feedback quickly from real users to understand, is that going to work for me or not? Now, getting real users sometimes is a hard thing. And also it depends of what is the persona of your users. So I think that these services are good for systems or applications that the personas are quite available. Because at the other end of this service sits actual people that will get your test and will give you feedback on what they have used.
Right. And I think I looked into some of these cases, and I've not used it myself. And so that's why I think this is extremely interesting. Plus, I like the research and discovery aspect of all this. And, I like UX, UI stuff in general and how people experience things. So as a product manager, this is an interesting space for me. But looking at I was looking at one of the tools, and I think it even offers the ability to video recording of a user actually using your application like live, and you can sit in and listen to the feedback. Like you can observe them actually do it in real time, and it records that and does some sort of transcribing that or data download of that experience. So I think that's really helpful because we live in, a remote world now. You can't always bring customers in, and you can't get those kind of feedback loops going. And the ability to hey, here's our application. This is our mobile application. Go off and experience it. And we're going to watch you, use it and see how you use it. And I think that's really valuable. So I was really interested by that.
Yeah. So what do we expect to see in such a, in such a tool or a service, right? So I guess, the basic thing is being able to set up a test
Yep.
or multiple tests. We usually will bring our own designs, so the ability to somehow upload our designs and be able for the users to choose things inside the design. So I'm not sure if that works within the application or you have to design it outside of the application, like in Figma or something like that. Then to scope it very specifically, what is it that you're trying to get? And I think scoping is probably one of those hard things, how big or how small do you get it? And because sometimes you want to get a lot of feedback, but then it might be too big and too hard to really scope. And then who are the target users? So be able to create a segmentation and say the target users are maybe consumers, but they're only consumers that reside in North America, or they're only English speakers, or they are consumers that spend at least, $100 a day online or
Mhm.
whatever, right?
Right.
So different type of segmentation, I would expect it to have this type of functionality. So the value of the feedback I'm getting is valuable to me. It's not just anyone
Right.
replying to those. And if I have a B2B application, that's where it becomes a bit more tricky. Do they have, business users in there on those networks? And can they actually, give me the correct feedback?
Right.
And business to business is such a vast, area that it's also like could be very specific. Like if my application is for lawyers or my applications is for aerospace engineers, whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe some users I will never be able to find those people in there. So does those networks actually tell me?
Yeah, it seems like there may be some opportunity where they place you with participants, people that might have experience with your application or might have interest in that space. To where if you don't have, let's say you're a startup and you don't have a large user base, they can, offer maybe something to where, hey, these are potential leads, potential opportunities, especially if you're thinking about a large scale mobile gaming application or something like that. Like I'm thinking like games and stuff.
That could be very, very, probably very easy to find
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think that every application or every feature can be tested in such systems.
No, I think it'd be specific testing, testing scenarios, A/B testing and stuff.
Or maybe if they have an option to invite my own users. So they're just a platform. They don't provide the testers. I provide the testers, but they still provide that technology to test it on and give me the feedback. So maybe that's an option in some of them that I can actually tell them, I'm not going to use your testers, but I'm going to invite 10 people that I know that will test it.
Then it helps record it, collect it, and then it does like data analysis, machine learning.
Exactly. So that's the next step there.
Yep.
Probably to me, I don't think it really matters if I invited the people or not. It's from their network. I could see how the users uses it and interact with it, and then analyze what the information is. Then that should be a much deeper understanding of what, the feedback for feedback from those users.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, especially if you want to test some things out and you don't want to present them to actual customers, like I could think of some things like you don't want to show a customer something that you're not going to ultimately develop maybe, and you might want to run some tests, and because there's risk showing that to current customers because they're like, oh, this is okay, this might be something that you implement or not. So
yeah, it's an interesting point. I think it's all about positioning.
Yeah.
Because I don't really want ever to be in situations that I'm afraid to show to users to real users and real clients what I'm thinking of and what I'm want to develop in the future. And even if things change, they could change for many different reasons. If I find that most people don't want it and only one client wanted it, that's all I have to explain to that client. Data show that it's not a good fit for us to do it. Now, whether they will decide to stay as a client or not, that's a different discussion. But that also already go to the product market fit. Right. So, but yeah, sometimes maybe showing it to other people outside of your network of users. But again, it all really depends on the product and how easy or hard it is to get those users.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I've seen tests like that done on things like very generic, like login, like registration, like any type of generic stuff, administration stuff, things like that. I've seen also a bit more, but they were very specific to. They were almost like some of them were also a bit like A/B testing. So I saw on UserTesting a test that had a couple of options, and I was asked to provide feedback on each one of the options and which one I preferred. It wasn't done through A/B testing systems like we discussed in the past, which are usually embedded within the application. It was done via a type of user testing platform that gave me the different options, and then I had to choose which option I prefer.
Okay.
So that's another use case there. Yeah. And it was mostly about like do you prefer this type of design or this type of design? And why do you prefer that type of design? And it allowed the tester to put questions in there,
Yeah.
qualitative questions.
Right.
So that's another thing about what type of feedback are we getting? Is it quantitative or qualitative feedback?
Right. Yeah, I
Right?
think they do both, but yeah, there's the application does the ability to ask, and I think you can do it real time even while they're using the product, while they're running into stuff. You can ask questions
Mhm.
live. So I think it
Right.
offers that ability as well. So,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
yeah, there's an advantage to collect both types of data and then run analytics on them. So
Mhm.
that's what I was thinking about integrations as well. That's one of the things I always seem to think about is
Mhm.
what they integrate with, and if they're integrating with uh, ultimately design tools and stuff like that. Like, how do you get these test scenarios and ultimately this data back to and fro from these applications?
Right. Right.
Or are they all just siloed, or is it all just kind of siloed in these applications? So that's another
I
question.
think, yeah, I think what I've seen, but I might be completely wrong about that, and that's what will be interesting to hear in the next episodes, is that usually they're more siloed and it's like self-contained
Mm,
platforms
okay.
where you have to upload your designs to it and stuff like that. But I might be wrong about that.
Okay.
There might be probably more integrations with design systems, etc. I don't know if they have integrations like with applications. So
Yeah.
I could say, just open this page in my application, right?
Right.
But that's usually means I already developed that in the application, and this testing usually is done before the application.
Before it all, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. The research,
Exactly.
upfront
Yeah.
research.
Yeah. Now, going back to qualitative versus quantitative, it also depends on the number of people that I'm actually asking to get feedback from. So usually the qualitative will be more for lower number of people. And the more people that you're using, I think the more expensive it is to use it. So
Hmm.
I think they usually charge by the number of feedback, or tests that are being done. And that's usually, from what I've seen in the past, some of them like they have credits, and you can buy credits, or you can get some free credits, and then you have to upgrade and add more credits or stuff like that.
Okay.
And then you can decide on your test how many people you want to test it, and you use your credits for that.
This is kind of reminding me of some of the what was the previous series we did with Ramil and Tracy and everybody when it came
The
to
A/B testing.
A/B testing. Yeah, that's right. So it kind of plays in that world of that research, and what kind of sample size do you need to really feel
Mhm.
confident in what you're testing, and how many people do you need in your pool of candidates
Yeah,
to really make these kind of decisions. So I see some
right.
connections there.
But because the user testing platforms usually will bring their own testers,
Hmm.
then you actually pay for a real person to do a test.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can tell you, like, my daughter actually, as a summer job last summer, she registered on a few of those platforms as a tester, and then once in a while she got like, oh, she basically had to fill a form to say what is she, her age, what is she doing, what is she studying, all of that stuff, so they can actually fit her into a specific persona.
Hmm.
Languages she's speaking, where does she live, and all of that stuff. And then they if they found a test that were fitting her persona, they would direct it to her, and then she could pick it up if she had the time.
Ah, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that's
Yep.
how it worked. And she did it on a couple of those networks. And she told me this network is a bit better because it pays a bit more,
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
stuff like that. So they had like how much they actually pay the testers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that will eventually, I assume, will be, pushed to the testers, to pay for it, right? So it's not just a platform that they provide, it's also a service with those real people that are testing it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be from a product perspective, that'd be an interesting for someone who is trying to get into product and stuff like that. That might be an interesting angle to take when it comes to like evaluating people's products.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that might be an opportunity for testing if you're a student or something like that, to really
Mhm.
get into it and be able to like observe applications and poke holes at them, and uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, that's
And
pretty cool.
it was fun also talking about it with her. because she told me, oh, today, I don't remember what it was already, but today I tested this and this application and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it was cool.
Yeah, because you can just give honest feedback, and you're not trying to.
But that's the idea. You
Yeah.
want to get honest feedback.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
it's people that you don't know. You don't know who they are. They also don't know who you are, basically. I mean, they will see the product and maybe they will know the company. I'm not really sure. That's another interesting thing about these products. Do the tester know who you are and stuff like that?
Yep.
But in general, they will need to have some context in some cases about the product.
Mm-hmm.
Because without context, they may not understand what are they doing here.
They might get lost by nature of.
Depends what we're testing, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the B2C or B2B kind of space.
Yeah. Or if they're testing a specific feature within an existing product, right?
Yeah.
So talking about the scope that we talked about before, that's exactly part of it. What scope is it that they're testing? So it is a quite, I think it's a very interesting problem to solve. Mm-hmm. And there is quite a bit of systems out there that are doing that. I think the one that most people know about, and I think it's because they have the perfect name, it's UserTesting.
Yeah.
They kind of hit
the market
name
there, right?
Yeah, they got the name, like that's the best test, that's what you're doing user testing.
It's the first one that comes up.
Right. But few others that I have on my list, we'll see if we can find guests for that. One of them, it's another one. So my daughter, I think she did user testing, and the other one she did was Try My UI, but now they're being renamed. Or
they changed their name to TryMata.
TryMata, exactly.
Yep.
And then there is UsabilityHub, there is Ballpark, there is Playbook UX, there is Userlytics, there is Userzoom. So there is quite a bit of them. The more and more I talk with people about this, I hear about more products.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to hear what the differentiators are. Going back to what we just mentioned, like when it comes to like providing participants in your testing, they need to get the best participants and they need to place them correctly. So you're really relying on this company to, like your daughter, to really profile these people and to get the best participants for your application. So that's a key point there. And I wonder if that's a differentiator when it comes to the market in general. So
right, how big is the network? Which type of clients can they test? Or can you bring your own users and send it to them, so you don't have to rely on their users?
Yep.
So these are all going to be interesting questions to ask.
This is really cool. Again, going back to the stuff we talked about in the past when it comes to UI UX design, A/B testing. I like a lot of this discovery research stuff because it does mix in analytics, the stuff I like, and the data analysis stuff, and really digging into who your users are and how they experience your product. And I just find that stuff fascinating. So really looking forward to the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things will be interesting to see also why they decided to use these systems versus not using the system and just sitting across from a user and show it to them and test it with them.
Right.
The Starbucks test is a good one for B2C, where you just go to Starbucks with your computer and you show you buy coffee to some people sitting there. Most cases, there will be the people that might be interested in your product. But you can ask them, you can filter them, you can ask them, are you this or that? But it's if B2C, then it's much easier to find people like that.
Yep.
The B2B is a much harder thing.
Right.
But I would say it's not just hard for you as a company, it's also hard for these platforms to find the right people. So that will be an interesting question to ask, not just about the product, but why they decided to use these products.
Right.
What was the reasoning behind, using it? Was it because they found it's much easier to find the users? Was it because of some type of a structure that they got all the information at the same time, or in the same structure, or maybe other reasons?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, because you and I haven't experienced it in our travels. So, and I haven't seen it in the places I've worked at. So, I'm definitely anxious to hear what encouraged them to use it and how valuable is it.
Exactly. So I've seen it, but very scarcely. Not
Yeah.
In most places I worked, we didn't use it.
Hmm.
We used it maybe in 1 or 2 places, and it was a very limited usage.
Hmm.
And then we also, as I mentioned, as a father of a tester.
Yep.
So
There you go.
like not permanent position tester, like casual tester.
Yes. Casual tester, right?
Right. Exactly. No, I'm looking forward to this series to learn more.
Well, great. I'm happy that we're back, and
Absolutely.
we'll talk to everybody soon.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you to all the listeners. We really appreciate the feedback and support. Please leave us a review to help others find the show on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else you're listening to the show.